Johnny Murray here, and welcome back to a brand new review. Today, Fantastic Four, The First Steps, is out. I've seen it twice. I'm about to go see it for my third time tomorrow, and then my fourth time the day after that. So I'm very, very excited. But it's time to do the review. I've seen it twice, so I don't need to necessarily see it again for a review. I know how I feel about this movie, and I am so thrilled. Number one, that this movie exists, but number two, that this movie is exactly what I wanted from it. And it honestly kind of exceeded it, because this is a movie where I had my concerns, I had my worries, but my excitement and the things I was seeing in the trailers just were looking so good and so exciting that it was kind of overweighing the concerns. And when I watched the movie, those concerns didn't even transpire. So for me, this was just an absolute blast, and I can't wait to talk about it and give you my review on it. And so yeah, thank you all so much for clicking on the video. If you guys love, I guess in this case, movies. Normally I say video games because this is a video game centric channel, but in this case, if you guys love movies, TV shows, we're going to be reviewing, reacting, and ranking, doing a bunch of tier lists for now on. So I hope you guys are excited for that, but this is the place to be. Thank you also for clicking on this video. Appreciate all the support you guys give me, especially the support in this video right here. I really have not thought of an intro. That was completely off the top of my dome. Again, not used to the whole movie, TV show content side of things. So, but with that being said, man, let's just go ahead. Let's just get into the Fantastic Four First Steps review. And yeah, like I said, I really love this movie. Like I really did. I think at the end of the day, this is probably gonna go down as one of my favorite Marvel movies. And it's not that I think the story is the best. It has the best action. It has, the greatest characters. It has, the coolest set pieces. No, it's not that it even has that. It's just, it's one of the most unique ones, that's for sure. We're kind of going to talk about that here in a second. But this one just kind of gives me such a exciting, different feel than so many other Marvel movies. And part of it is this movie feels so separated from the rest of the MCU. And I think that's a really good thing. One of the big things about going into this movie is that this is not in Earth 616. I do believe that is like the main Earth in the MCU, where, we have the Avengers, Iron Man, Spider-Man, all of them, right? The ones that we've been growing up with for the past over a decade now, right? This one takes place in, I think, Earth 828, where the only superhero in this Earth are the Fantastic Four. This is a retro futuristic. This is kind of like if the future looked more like the 80s, right? It's completely separate from everything. So when you go into this movie, there's no movies or shows you have to watch beforehand. There's no connections or big Easter eggs that lead to the next movie. Granted, there are, but not specifically tied to a specific thing in another movie or another character in the MCU, right? And this movie feels so separated, and it's not an origin story at the same time. So you're really just jumping into this, and you're being introduced to these characters. And what's so interesting is this is still a team movie, right? This isn't on the level of, I would say, like Avengers or maybe even Guardians of the Galaxy. It's definitely more on the level of Guardians of the Galaxy, but this is a team movie. But in such a same way, this feels like a Mr. Fantastic and an Invisible Woman movie. I think Human Torch and The Thing take a little bit of a backseat in this movie, which I wish. For me, Human Torch and The Thing are probably my two favorites in the Fantastic Four. So, I wish we got more out of them. But I have to say, the things with Human Torch in this movie, he was actually given a lot more than I thought he was going to. So I really appreciate that. The Thing for sure was the one that I really wish we got more of. They had this little subplot with him that I really wish they did more with, but they didn't. We'll get to that in a second. By the way, this is going to be a spoiler review. There will be spoilers in this review, so if you haven't seen it and you want to see it or you care about spoilers, click off now. Otherwise, let's get into it. But yeah, this one just felt so fun to me. This is the one, there's a lot of MCU movies I don't like rewatching, or I don't want to rewatch, not because I think they're bad movies. It's just they don't have the rewatchability for me. This one absolutely does, and hence why by the end of this week I'll have seen it 4 times in theaters, and it's just because I find it so fun. I find it so exciting. This one has a lot of similarities with Superman, the movie that just came out 2 weeks ago. We did a review on the channel like 2 days ago. Make sure you go watch that. I know I'm late to both of these reviews, but it is what it is. This one has a lot of similarities in where the movie just kind of kicks off, jumping you right into this world, introducing you to these characters, and it kind of just plays out, and it's a very character driven movie and plot. Now, I do think that, in terms of a story, in terms of a plot, I think Fantastic Four is much more of an interesting concept in terms of like who the villains are, what the motives of everybody is, right? On all these different factors playing into the final battle, into Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, right? Then say something like Superman. But at the same time, this is so different and similar, right? Because I think if you take Superman as a character, and I know I'm comparing these two, but truthfully, if I'm doing my review, these two are very similar and different in a lot of ways, and it could help explain how I feel about this movie. Superman, my favorite part about the story was the personal connection to Superman himself. Whereas in this movie, I feel a personal connection to the family, to the group, the Fantastic Four. I don't really feel super connected to Reed or Sue or Ben or Johnny individually, but all 4 of these people, helped by the cast a ton, they have such great chemistry, and it really makes you feel like they are, in this case, Marvel's first family, right? That's what the Fantastic Four is in the comics. It's Marvel's first family, and they really do feel like a family. And so much of this movie's writing and dialogue and character arc is, dealing with family relationships. The marriage between Sue and Reed, in the fact that they're having a kid, Johnny and Ben being uncles, right? The fact that they are the only superheroes in this world, so it is literally up to all 4 of them to decide and agree and help each other, because otherwise they're gonna lose, and they face a lot of that in the movie, and it's helped by a really awesome villain in this movie. One of my favorite villains I've seen in a Marvel movie being Galactus. Galactus, number 1, they pulled him off great. They visually just knocked it out the park with him. The final act, I think, is great, but what I love more about Galactus than anything is his presence throughout the movie, and not just when he's on screen. Even when he's not on screen, you feel his presence in the dialogue between Reed, explaining things to the rest of the group, right? There is this sense of fear and sense of urgency when it comes to trying to defeat Galactus. So even when he's not on screen, you still feel how powerful he is, because everybody recognizes how big of a threat he actually is. And I think that's so cool, because there's a moment in this movie, which there is a good, I would say, 15 to 20 minute segment in this movie where they are completely in space. Peak, maybe one of the best segments ever in an MCU movie, where the Fantastic Four go into space to try and meet Galactus, to talk to him, to try and negotiate with him. And when all that goes wrong, then they have to try and escape from them. In doing so, Silver Surfer, in this case Shalla-Bal, chases them out, and they are now trying to do a space escape where they're traveling through, in this case, like light speed, and then they reach a black hole, and they're trying to like do a little trick to trap Shalla-Bal in that black hole, and then they launch out. At the same time of all this happening, Sue's having the baby, and it's just one of the most stress-inducing, just super thrilling, visually incredible, just scenes I've ever seen in a Marvel movie, and it's only helped by the score in this movie, which the score in this movie entirely is incredible. I'm trying to not use the word fantastic just because obvious reasons. And yeah, so once that moment happens, leading up to that moment, the Fantastic Four were kind of like, in a way, cocky, right? Like, even the Thing, leading up to it. There was a scene where he was talking to Reed. He's like, don't worry about Galactus. He doesn't know what he's up against. And it's so funny because, I mean, if you know the comics, if you know Galactus as a character, it's really funny because you're like, I don't think you understand what's going on here. But in the concept of these characters in the story in the world, they absolutely don't know what they're up against. So when they get there, they're cocky, they're confident, but then they see him and they realize we might be in trouble. And that from that moment forward, Galactus is just the ultimate threat to them. And I absolutely love it. I think Shia LaBeouf, like I said, the Silver Surfer, she is, I have to say it, fantastic in this movie. She also has such a presence. She has one of the coolest moments throughout the whole movie. She has a lot of the coolest moments throughout the whole movie. And you know what's so great? I feel like every character in this movie has some of the coolest moments. I can think of multiple moments where Johnny is the coolest character. I can think of multiple moments where the Thing is. I can think of multiple moments where Sue, Reed, Shia LaBeouf, and Galactus are all the coolest character. This is truly, I think the reason I love this movie so much is how much I love all the characters. All the cast was fantastic, and the characters were written well. They all had great chemistry with each other. They all had their moments, and it was just great. I think there is a problem with the movie in terms of, I think there are certain characters, like I said, that I wish we got more of. And I think this movie could have easily benefited from like 20 to 30 more minutes, just because there was a lot of plot lines that it didn't fully develop. Like, I would say the plot line with the Thing and his love interest, pretty much, who obviously is the love interest, they kind of introduced it, and then there was kind of one scene at the leading into the third act where you could tell they wanted to tell more with that, and you could tell that that's obviously the character arc that they were trying to build with the Thing, but they didn't do anything with it. And even though the things that were there were good, there just wasn't enough for it to even be considered a full subplot. Like, it was just kind of there. Like, it was just a plot point, really. And so I really wish we got that. I think the second act kind of drags a little bit. I think there is a little bit of, it comes down to you know where we're going, right? We know where the third act is going to land. We know what the big climax of the movie is going to be. And it feels like we're kind of repeating certain information during the second act just to try and build that up, even though we already know what's going to happen. So it comes down to, let's hurry this up a little bit. But at the same time, I wish there were 30 to 20 more minutes, not during the second act, though, during the first act, during the third act, kind of wrapping everything up, because I do think there is a lot of moments in the third act where I feel like we don't get a full close to some of these characters' arcs throughout the movie. I feel like Johnny and Sue are the main two that finish their character arc throughout this movie. Johnny, of course, I love the way they tackle Johnny in this movie, because the whole personality of him is he wants to prove himself. He wants to be recognized as not just the playboy, the hot shot, the guy who flirts, the guy who cracks jokes. He wants to be recognized as somebody who can actually make an impact in the team, who can use his knowledge to benefit the team and the conflict. And by the end of it, that's exactly what he does. He has one of the most knowledge and impactful moments in the whole final act, where the whole movie was studying this language, and that language is ultimately what probably won them the final act, with Shia LaBeouf coming in to save the day. And so I really love that. And then obviously Sue, the whole character arc is, accepting that she is now a mother, and that accepting that she also has to be a protector of this world as well as a protector of the kid, and she basically makes the ultimate sacrifice because she is a mother and she has to love her child and she has to protect her child at any means. And I love that. I feel like Reed kind of closed his arc. I don't know. He doesn't really have a true arc, like point A to point B type thing. I feel like a lot of other characters help pave his arc, whether it's him not listening to Johnny all the time or him kind of annoying Sue at times. And I feel like he comes to realize that, but I don't feel like there was a true point B or point A to point B with him. And then same thing with Ben. I don't really feel like there was a character arc for him specifically. The character arc was that subplot that they were going for with the love interest, and the fact that he's the only one out of them that lost his appearance, that lost his life pretty much due to these powers, and he just has to grow and accept that and make the most out of it. And the love interest is one of the major points in the comics of that. So I feel like story-wise, character-wise, I think they did a fantastic job. I wish there was a little bit more just to make it maybe like, you know, some peak level stuff, but overall I really, really enjoyed it. I think something so special about this movie is it gives you a lot of things that you can't find in a lot of other Marvel movies, but also it gives you a lot of things that are kind of just like, there's certain things in certain movies that kind of feel like a satisfaction, like weirdness to it, right? Like the fact that Reed is so smart, and so many of his scenes is just blurting out these words that you have no idea what they mean, and numbers that you can't calculate in your head, and just so many weird things. You're like, what is he saying? But it's so cool. That's like such a weird it's satisfying to hear him be like really smart, right? And so like you get so many of those scenes with him, and that's why I really love Reed in this movie. I actually think, personally, I would say Reed is my favorite character in this movie. Even though I said that I don't feel like he has the biggest arc, he has the coolest, like, some of the most interesting scenes, and he was the one I was always, like, just so locked in. Every time he was on screen, I was just always listening to everything he said, looking at his, like, his mannerisms, right? He has so many different, like, behavior things that he does. It's just so, like, interesting. It's just so interesting to watch his character do his thing. And then, like, it's the same thing, another, like, satisfaction, like, weirdness this movie is Galactus, and that third act, right? I was telling my my friends in this, that Galactus in this movie is, like, how I've always, from, like, watching the original Fantastic Four movies back in, like, the 2000s, Galactus in this movie is how I've always envisioned a live-action Galactus looking. Like, it always seemed surreal. It always seemed not possible. I always ask the question, like, how would they do that in a movie? But I've always came up with this, like, super fake, like, impossible vision in my head. But somehow this movie is exactly what I envisioned Galactus looking like. And it's so cool. The fact that Silver Surfer actually surfs on things in this movie, even though it's, like, stars and, like, weird, like, cosmic stuff, it's so cool. Like, this movie just has a lot of really satisfying things to it. Because of how different and unique it is. So I think that goes a long way of why the world is so cool, why the action is so cool. Which, by the way, the action in this movie is great. It's action-packed. There's a lot of cool action scenes. There is one... sorry, going completely sideways here. There was one character in this movie I really did not like, and that was Mole Man. Mole Man, I really felt like was just there to... I don't like who they chose to play him. To me, that guy just felt like he was there, like, being himself, making jokes and being stupid rather than actually trying to, like, play a character. And to me, that character just did not work. He took me out of the movie. I'm not gonna lie. Every time he showed up, he kind of took me out of the movie, which is unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world. I love the little robot Herbie. The baby, Franklin Ray Richard, I think plays a great role in this movie. So really cool stuff. I love how comic accurate this movie is. That's one thing I've said in the Superman review a lot, and that's the reason I love this movie and Superman so much. Almost on the same level, just for different reasons. Is that it is so comic accurate to the costumes, to the storylines, to the characters' personalities, to some of the fight scenes. There is just so many cool comic things in this movie. It feels like you're living and breathing in a comic world, and I absolutely love that. It's helped by Matt Shakman's vision for this movie, you know, creating that retro futuristic world. This movie has a lot of wonder and awe and just different atmosphere compared to so many Marvel movies, but also just comic book movies in general. I absolutely love it. Like I said, the score is brilliant. It just heightens the movie in so many different points in time. Visually, this is one of Marvel's best. Absolutely. This is one of Marvel's best, hands down. When we're talking Galactus, when we're talking that space scene that I was talking about, when we are talking even just some of like the just normal scenes where they're in the Baxter building or they're just in the city, just the artistic design and flair that this movie brings is just so visually pleasing. I absolutely love it. Yeah, this movie is really, really good. This movie is really, really good, and what's so good about this one, and why I said there's similarities between Superman and then there's differences. I love both of these movies so much, and I'm giving both of these movies the exact same score. So a little bit of spoiler for the end of my review. But I think, if you ask me which one I enjoy more, I think I would say Superman. I think Superman's a more fun, palatable thing. But I do think that there are things that Fantastic Four does better. One of those is I feel like this movie does have a bigger emotional beat to it. I think there is more emotional weight, and I think there is more, there's like higher stakes, there's more tension, there's more like, I would say, high quality movie things about Fantastic Four. But I think from an entertainment level, I personally would prefer Superman. But I think both movies are just absolutely incredible at what they do. They both introduce us to a new world with cool characters. This movie is really awesome. This movie is really awesome. I really enjoyed this movie. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. I would actually put this on the S tier. I think this is one of Marvel's best. And so 9 out of 10. I said it in the Superman review, and I was wrong. I said 9 out of 10 was phenomenal. 9 out of 10 is amazing on our Johnny Murr scale here. And I write this. Introducing a new Earth, new characters, and new storylines is a fantastic achievement for Marvel in the introduction to Marvel's first family. Matt Shakman fully embraces his vision in crafting a retro-futuristic world with wonder and awe. The visuals in this movie are among Marvel's best, and the emotion was felt. While this movie could have benefited from a 30 more minute runtime, this is exactly what Marvel needed to get the hype train rolling. And that's one big thing. Watching this movie, finishing this movie, and watching it again, it's brought something that I haven't felt from a Marvel movie in a long, long time. Excitement for what's next. Excitement for the future. I am so excited for Avengers Doomsday now because of this movie. I am so excited to see these characters again show up in another movie, in a show, whatever. I'm just so excited for the future of Marvel because of this movie. Same thing with Superman. That movie has made me so excited for the future of the DC universe. And yeah, I think that this movie is exactly what Marvel needed. It was a home run. Matt Shakman absolutely delivered. And I'm so happy we got a good Fantastic Four movie. Finally, every Fantastic Four movie but before this was just not good. I hate to say it. But finally we have a good one, and not just a good one. In my opinion, we have an amazing one. And yeah, so let me know what you guys think of Fantastic Four First Steps down in the comment section. I would love to talk about it. But anyway, that's going to do it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Johnny Murr. Peace.